Following the light of the sun, we left the old world. Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus's voyage, marked by the pursuit of a new route to Asia, inadvertently led to the European discovery of the Americas. This statement reflects humanity's relentless quest for knowledge and the unintended consequences that often accompany bold explorations. Columbus's journey, propelled by the era's advanced navigational techniques and driven by economic motives, not only reshaped global trade and interaction but also set in motion a complex legacy of cultural exchange, colonization, and conflict. The lesson here underscores the transformative power of human curiosity and ambition. It serves as a reminder that our actions can yield both profound advancements and far-reaching ramifications, prompting a need for foresight and ethical consideration in our ventures. The Columbus narrative teaches us the importance of adaptability, how unforeseen discoveries require us to reassess our goals, and the impact of our endeavors on the world. For the execution of the voyage to the Indies, I did not make use of intelligence, mathematics, or maps. Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus's declaration emphasizes intuition and perhaps divine providence over empirical methods in his historic voyage. It suggests a reliance on experiential knowledge and the human spirit's innate drive to explore, rather than solely on the scientific tools of the time. This perspective highlights the role of courage and conviction in the face of uncertainty, resonating with the idea that groundbreaking achievements often involve venturing beyond the known and the calculable. The insight here reflects a broader human principle. While reason and planning are invaluable, some of life's pivotal moments arise from a leap of faith and the courage to pursue a vision against daunting odds. The lesson learned is the harmonious balance between knowledge and the intangible qualities of human determination, which together propel us into the unknown and forge new paths of discovery.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more valuable quotes from the legends.
But in truth, should I meet with gold or spices in great quantity, I shall remain till I collect as much as possible, and for this purpose I am proceeding solely in quest of them. Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus's statement candidly reveals the primary motivation behind his expeditions: the acquisition of wealth through gold and spices. This pursuit, emblematic of the age of exploration, was driven by the desire to increase personal fortune and national prosperity. Columbus's frank admission underscores the economic underpinnings of exploration, often glossed over by the more romanticized notions of adventure and discovery. It reflects the zeitgeist of the 15th century, where exploration was inextricably linked to mercantilism and the expansion of empires. The insight we derive from this is a reminder of the complex motivations that fuel human endeavors and how history often entwines nobler pursuits with more pragmatic ones. The takeaway is a nuanced understanding of historical narratives, recognizing that the quest for knowledge and the pursuit of material gain have often been intertwined in the shaping of our world. After having dispatched a meal, I went ashore and found no habitation save a single house, and that without an occupant. We had no doubt that the people had fled in terror at our approach, as the house was completely furnished. Christopher Columbus. Columbus's landing led to the abrupt desertion of a native dwelling, signaling the indigenous people's fear and confusion faced with these foreign arrivals. The scene of a furnished but empty house is a microcosm of the larger, impending disruption that European exploration would bring to the New World. It's a poignant reminder of the often overshadowed human cost of discovery, reflecting the displacement and cultural upheaval that followed in the wake of such expeditions. This episode serves as a lesson in the profound impact that contact between vastly different civilizations can have, particularly on those who are vulnerable to the intruder's might and agendas. Tomorrow morning before we depart, I intend to land and see what can be found in the neighborhood. Christopher Columbus. Columbus's intention to explore the surroundings before departure illustrates the exploratory drive that defined his expeditions. This statement conveys an eagerness to uncover the unknown, to catalog resources, and to understand the new environment. It also implies an inherent assumption of entitlement to inspect and claim what might be found, a mindset prevalent during the era of European exploration. This approach foreshadows the encounters between European explorers and the lands they discovered, which often led to the claiming of territories and resources without regard for indigenous claims or the environmental impact. Columbus's plans serve as a historical example of the complex interplay between discovery and the imposition of power, a pattern that would repeat itself with significant consequences for native populations and ecosystems. There are trees of 1,000 sorts, and all have their several fruits, and I feel the most unhappy man in the world not to know them, for I am well assured that they are all valuable. I bring home specimens of them, and also of the land. Christopher Columbus. Columbus's words reflect a deep curiosity and a sense of loss over his inability to fully understand the rich biodiversity he encountered. His conviction that the unknown flora holds value exemplifies the mindset of explorers who saw the natural world through a utilitarian lens, as resources to be cataloged and exploited. By taking specimens and samples of the land, Columbus was not just documenting new species, he was laying the groundwork for future economic exploitation and environmental transformation. His actions, driven by the desire to bring back knowledge and wealth, unwittingly set a precedent for centuries of environmental alteration and commodification of ecosystems following European colonization. This narrative serves to remind us of the importance of respecting and preserving biodiversity, as well as the intricate relationship between human progress and environmental stewardship. I found that part of it towards San Salvador extended from north to south 5 leagues, and the other side, which we coasted along, ran from east to west more than 10 leagues. Christopher Columbus. Columbus's description of San Salvador's geography provides a window into the methodical approach taken by explorers to chart new territories. His measurements in leagues, with 1 league traditionally being considered roughly 3 miles, indicate a significant landmass, and his use of cardinal directions suggests an early effort to map the region. This kind of documentation was crucial for navigation, claiming territories, and later expeditions. The precision in his observations reveals the navigational skills of the time and the importance of these skills in the age of discovery. Columbus's detailed account of San Salvador's coastline underscores the strategic and economic motivations of exploration, as these measurements would be vital for future voyages, claims of possession, and the eventual exploitation of the lands discovered. It is a reminder of how exploration was not just about discovery, but also about the ability to claim and return to these new worlds. I saw a boy from the crew purchasing javelins from them with bits of platters and broken glass. Christopher Columbus. This observation by Columbus offers a glimpse into the early interactions between European explorers and the indigenous peoples they encountered. The exchange, javelins for seemingly trivial items like broken glass and bits of platters, highlights the stark contrasts in value systems and material cultures between the two groups. To the indigenous people, the European goods were novel and perhaps held ceremonial or aesthetic value, while to Columbus's crew, the javelins represented exotic artifacts or practical tools. This trade reflects the initial stages of contact where mutual curiosity facilitated exchanges that would soon be overshadowed by more exploitative dynamics as colonization progressed. It's a poignant reminder of the profound misunderstandings that can arise when disparate cultures come into contact and the consequential shifts in cultural and economic power dynamics that often follow. I ordered each man to be presented with something, as strings of 10 or a dozen glass beads apiece, and thongs of leather, all which they estimated highly. Those which came on board I directed should be fed with molasses. Christopher Columbus. Columbus's account reveals the early interactions between Europeans and indigenous peoples, where Europeans used simple trade goods like glass beads and leather thongs as tokens of exchange. These items, while of negligible value to Europeans, were prized by the natives, illustrating the vast differences in material culture and concepts of value. Columbus's directive to feed the visitors with molasses shows an attempt at hospitality, using a sweet treat unknown to the native population, possibly as a means of fostering goodwill or perhaps to entice further cooperation. This narrative is indicative of the initial stages of contact where seemingly benign exchanges set the stage for more complex and often exploitative relationships. It serves as an example of how explorers used material goods to establish initial connections and assert influence, foreshadowing the profound impact such interactions would have on indigenous societies, often leading to dependency and disruption of local economies and social structures. Sailed this day 19 leagues, and determined to count less than the true number, that the crew might not be dismayed if the voyage should prove long. Christopher Columbus. Columbus's decision to underreport the distance sailed reflects a leadership strategy aimed at managing his crew's morale. By recording a shorter distance, he hoped to mitigate any anxiety about the voyage's length and the isolation of being at sea. This tactic points to the psychological challenges of naval exploration during this era, where the vastness of the ocean could lead to fear and uncertainty among the crew. Columbus understood the importance of maintaining a hopeful spirit aboard his ships, which was as crucial as navigating and maintaining the vessels themselves. This action also underscores the broader theme of perception management and leadership and the delicate balance between transparency and encouragement. It demonstrates how leaders may sometimes shield their teams from harsh realities to maintain motivation, a practice that can be both practical and ethically questionable, depending on the circumstances and outcomes. It's a reminder of the timeless complexities faced by those in command, especially in uncharted territories. The air was as soft as that of Seville in April, and so fragrant that it was delicious to breathe it. Christopher Columbus. Columbus's description of the air's quality captures the sensory experience of encountering a new environment, evoking a sense of wonder and pleasure. Comparing it to Seville in April connects this new world with something familiar and pleasant from his homeland, perhaps to reassure himself or his audience of the voyage's promise. His reflection on the air's fragrance underscores the allure of the unexplored lands, which held not only visual beauty but also an appeal to other senses. This observation communicates more than just an appreciation for the environment. It conveys the freshness and purity Columbus associated with the New World, contrasting with Europe's crowded, often unsanitary urban conditions of the time. It's a reminder of the powerful impact of first impressions and the human tendency to romanticize the unknown. Such descriptions have historically fueled the imagination of those yearning for adventure and the promise of a utopian paradise. For this purpose, I am determined to keep an account of the voyage, and to write down punctually everything we performed or saw from day to day, as will hereafter appear. Christopher Columbus. Columbus's commitment to maintaining a detailed log of his voyage demonstrates the importance of record-keeping for navigational, historical, and reporting purposes. His intention to document punctually everything we performed or saw underscores the methodical approach taken to exploration during the Age of Discovery. Such records were crucial for several reasons. Navigation, detailed logs helped in charting courses for future voyages and in aiding navigation by providing information on currents, winds, and landmarks. Claiming territories, written accounts served as legal documents to support claims of discovery and possession for the sponsoring nation. Financing and support, accurate records were necessary to report back to the voyage's financiers, demonstrating what had been achieved and justifying the expenses incurred. Scientific discovery, observations of new lands, peoples, flora, and fauna contributed to the European knowledge base and scientific understanding. Historical record, these logs provided a narrative of the journey, shaping the story of the Age of Discovery for future generations. Columbus's logs, often referred to as the ship's log or captain's log, have become invaluable historical documents that offer insight into the voyages, the mindset of European explorers, and the nature of early contact with indigenous peoples of the Americas. They have allowed historians and scholars to piece together the events of these significant journeys, despite the controversies and debates surrounding Columbus's legacy.